He did.
How many here know Dirk Beveridge or met Dirk Beveridge before? Just a handful.
And they came out. That's pretty cool. They came out.
Well, I'll give you a little information about Dirk here in a second, but first I just want to thank everybody for coming out the day before we actually open up the state again. We thought we'd do it a little day early and have a little celebration, but it's been a long time for us to be able to share our vision of what we want to do here and kind of show off our HRS facility. It's a great opportunity for Heinz and for our suppliers and for our customers to get service better. So thank you to our customers that are here and our suppliers who help make this make it a reality. I do have a list here. Hold on. I want to thank. Where's the team here from the Heinz Group? Raise your hand if we got our yard guys here. Dave works inside. We got Mr. Peterman and our inside. Pete, raise your hand twice so we can see. I office here with Pete, and he gets to work with me every day.
Lucky guy. Lucky guy.
Hey, Pete, I'm here for 3 hours.
I know, right?
I'm gone.
Then you're gone.
And, Kevin's back here is our new employee. So,
yeah, I know, yeah.
Our sales guy. Back here. Okay. So I think that's the group from it. So make sure you say hi to these guys.
So can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Hey guys, when I travel the country, I talk about Heinz Supply a lot. I absolutely love what you all stand for. I love the innovation. I love your commitment to the customer. I love your commitment to do things at such a high level of excellence. And I applaud you guys for that. And I appreciate you having me here today. Thank you.
So I went onto the website on LinkedIn, and there's a 2-page thing on who Dirk is, but I thought I'd just highlight a few things if that's okay.
No, Tina, didn't you send them the 6 pages I told you to read? Super small. Don't speak to me, man. Speak to your guys.
So, probably the first and foremost, he's been in this industry for 35 years in distribution. Really focused on electrical and the Association of Distribution Managers,
Across all different lines of trade. Yeah.
And for the last 10 years, he started something called Unleash WD, which is Unleash Warehouse Distribution, and has this innovation tank where a bunch of guys like me come in and we listen to some guys that just can do some really innovative things and kind of get the juices flowing. And so through that course of doing that, I've gotten to know Dirk personally, and when he called me up and said, hey, I got the RV, I want to come out to the United States and kind of go coast to coast, okay, if I swing by and say hi. And so I said, hey, let's have a party, and that's kind of how it got going. I only got a week's notice.
6 days. Who's up for a party?
But he has a couple books out there. One's called Innovate, so if you want to learn more about what Dirk's about, you either go to LinkedIn, there's all kinds of cool things. You can follow him on the RV across the United States, and his books are really interesting about innovation and keeps a lot of things from what we learned at Unleashed to kind of put it in the book and cool things. So, cool. With that, but I thought instead of having Dirk speak, we'd do a little kind of question and answer. I'd ask Dirk questions and kind of see how that goes.
And then we'll throw it open, okay?
Yeah.
And does, can I, before the questions, can I just talk about We Supply America real quick? Or was that the first question?
It is now.
Okay.
All right, just on the fly.
So, yeah, so guys, hey, thank you for being here. We Supply America is a national campaign that is 1.5 weeks old. And last summer, I wrote an open letter to distributors called Shift to Tomorrow. And my message there was, during this pandemic, let's lift our eyes towards the horizon and let's do what we need to do from a leadership and an innovation perspective. Take care of our people, take care of our companies, take care of our customers. Let's do what we need to do to come out of this pandemic stronger than we went in. In that letter, it was the first time I used the words, the noble calling of distribution, the noble calling of distribution. And I truly do believe that what the 30,000 distributors across this country, like Heinz does do, is a hell of a lot more than the product on the shelves. Distributors across this country create 6 million jobs. Distribution is the 3rd largest economy on the planet. behind the GDP of the US and behind the GDP of China, $6.9 trillion. The economic strength of wholesale distribution. And I believe it is a noble calling. The size of it, the strength of it, the 6 million jobs, the meaning and purpose that's provided for employees, the local community support, how you support your contractors and all that so they can do their job and build America. And I think this is an undertold story. So we're traveling the country now through the end of August to find these stories, these inspirational stories, and talk about this important sector, and not only the business, more importantly the people. Every single one of you that bring your heart and soul to what it is you do, not just for the business, not just for your customers, of course for them, but I believe for the strength of this country. And I think it's an undertold story, and we're going to do that. And I really appreciate this being our first stop like this. We're creating 8 television shows that are going to stream online at WeSupplyAmerica.net. The first one starts July 8th. I'd encourage all of you to go to WeSupplyAmerica.net, follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and the like, and be a part of this story, because the story is about everybody here, Doug. It's not about the RV, it's not about Dirk, it's about what you guys do every single day. I'm grateful for you all, the country is grateful for you all, and we're going to go champion this story about what you do every day, okay? So thanks, guys.
That's a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
First stop on your tour is right here.
Yep.
What about the last stop on your tour? Come back here and you can tell us all the stories.
I love it. Let's do it.
Let's do it. I think
Let's do it.
everybody, I think we're
What do you think? Yes or no?
Absolutely.
We're good. Let's do it.
So here's some couple questions for you.
Please. All right.
Everybody says their company wants to be innovative or have an innovative culture. What does that mean? How do you have an innovative culture, and
Yeah.
how does that help their business?
Yeah, I think what it means is this. I think innovative companies have a couple things. Number one, they have an absolute disdain for the status quo. If you look around the organization, everything, there is a better way to do everything. Right? An innovative organization is constantly looking for that next better way. I think it's required to do that, because when you look at the pace of change throughout the business, I mean, just look at what the pandemic has done, right? I wrote a book, Doug, on the age of disruption, and I think the pandemic has moved us from the age of disruption to the age of acceleration. Customer buying behaviors have changed at an accelerated rate. Their expectations have changed at an accelerated rate. McKinsey will tell you that the use of e-commerce in B2B business, there was a 10-year growth of e-commerce adoption in a 3-month period of time at the early part. And so if we stick to what we know, to what has been successful, I truly believe without that innovative culture, we will get passed by, and somebody else is going to figure out that better way and serve our customers in better ways.
Thank you, Dirk. So you have an innovative culture. What capabilities, what do we need as leaders to keep that culture going in your organization?
Cool. I think innovation starts with leadership's vision. With leadership's vision. I believe without vision, there's no change, there's no transformation, there's no innovation. If we as leaders, if we're a contractor, if we're a distributor, if we're a consulting company, if we don't have a vision for tomorrow, right? If we don't have a vision that says, this is who we are today, but we must, and we're going to become this, if we can't paint that gap, articulate that gap of what we're going to become, I think that's when, Doug, we're pulled back to yesterday, we're pulled back to what we know, and that's when we fight any type of change, because we don't understand it. We don't understand where we're going. So, number one, I'd say let's start with vision. Do we as leaders have a vision for our business, for our department, for our function, for the yard out back, so on and so forth?
So I've been to Unleash WD 8 times and seen 16 to 20 companies every time I go. And there's some really cool, innovative companies in distribution that I've gotten to meet through that group, and some of which I still talk to.
Yeah,
And,
awesome.
So give me some examples that you think of some innovative companies, maybe more in our space, that do a great job, that have really made their companies.
Yeah, well, I'll start right here with Heinz. I'll start right here with Heinz. I love your adoption of technology. I love your experimentation of technology, right, to change that buying experience for the consumer with your augmented reality, virtual reality, and the like. I think that's an amazing example that we can go to. I'll take it a step further. I think USLBM, you're part of the family of USLBM. I think the innovation of USLBM from a structure perspective, when this company started, does LT still operate out of his garage?
He still has an office there, but he has other offices now.
I mean, this company was built, right, with no corporate office, with the CEO, operating out of an office above his garage. Are you kidding me? That in itself is innovative. It's telling a story about the culture that we want. So I absolutely love the culture at USLBM. Your commitment to your people, your commitment to help them grow is absolutely, I believe, inspiring and innovative. Ask me about the human spirit, okay? There's other companies that, we've talked about, we've met a lot. Berlin Packaging in Chicago. They're in the rigid packaging business, but they do so much more. They've created an innovation lab. They've created a design lab. They've created a value proposition that says, don't just look at us at our product, look at us as a partner to help you grow your profitability, your net income. That's one. There's another one. First Supply up in Madison, Wisconsin. Katie Paling was just promoted from president to the CEO of a young, talented, vibrant, smart leader. Her commitment to her people, her commitment to merchandising and using technology in different ways is crazy. What I love is from when we started talking about innovation 8 years ago with the book, there's been a movement. The conversation is there, the awareness is there like none other, and more companies are being added to that innovation roster.
And I got to know Andrew Berlin a little bit from companies you mentioned with us. That gives us a story.
It is.
And we've adopted our employee surveys with Andrew and that ENPS and all that's being driven from your
Innovation Summit. And that's one of the things about Doug Jones and other innovators, right? When Doug Jones says that he's come to our Unleash Innovation Summit 8 years, one, thank you for that. Number two, he's spoken there because of the innovations he drives. But I think another thing that is important to point out, Doug, is innovators are creative, innovators create ideas, but they also execute like hell. They execute like crazy. And that's what I appreciate about Doug Jones, too. 8 years, it's not just 2 days to get away from you guys, trust me. He's rethinking the business. He's rethinking the business and comes back and brings ideas like the Net Promoter Score into the business. And I applaud you for that.
I have never come up with a brilliant idea on my own, so I need to come to places like that to steal ideas. And
I think you just defined a consultant.
KPIs, there's some key performance indicators that we use. How do we know if our innovation's working or not, if the money we're spending on is working?
Well, I think the KPIs are different for every organization. Let me take that from a different perspective. I'll tell you one KPI that will absolutely kill an innovative culture. It's 3 letters. Anybody know what those 3 letters are? A KPI, 3 letters that will actually kill an innovative culture. Anybody? ROI. Return on investment. If you have the bean counters, whoever the bean counters are, whenever there's an idea, whenever there's an experiment to be had, whenever you want to try something new, if the first question is, yeah, that sounds great, but what's the ROI? What do you think happens to that innovative idea and that initiative?
Flush it.
It's flush it. It's dead. Why? The definition of innovation is you're creating something new. The definition of innovation is you don't know how it's going to turn out. The definition of innovation is you're breaking new ground. You can put together a spreadsheet, you can pick up numbers, but if that's the focus, Doug, if that's the KPI for innovation, your innovation culture will absolutely stop. Some others that you might think about is, go to 3M. They have certain goals and KPIs in terms of the number of products each year or every 3 years that the revenues come from after new products, from the last 5 years. Here's one. Can I tell one real quick? So here's a counterintuitive KPI. I learned this from blinds.com. Has anybody bought blinds from blinds.com? An amazing, innovative culture. In their marketing department, they have 2 test tubes. Some people said they look like large bongs, okay? But 2 test tubes. And every experiment that the marketing team does, they take a clear marble and they put it in the left test tube. Every time one of those experiments succeeds, they take a color marble and they put it in the right test tube. All experiments get 1 clear. Only the successful ones get a colored one in the right one. Which of those 2 test tubes do you think has the most marbles? The clear on the left. So what they're doing is they're using a KPI saying it's okay to fail. It's okay to fail if we use that failure, not as a failure, but as a what? As a learning opportunity. So there's a KPI.
And he spoke it for,
He did. 2nd year, he was our keynote speaker. Jay Steinfeld, he was amazing.
what disruptors do you see on the horizon for distribution? Is there anything out there that we should be nervous about?
Yeah. 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 If we are not constructively paranoid every day, we're in danger. And you know, who gets the story? The disruptor, right? The Amazons of the world. I just read this morning. They've become a $25 billion B2B business. I mean, in a flash of a minute. But let's not go there. Okay, sorry. Sorry. What I believe, what we need to be thinking about, and I heard this said so eloquently from Wes Smith, brilliant leader of Mayer Electric down in Birmingham, Alabama. What he told us was, look, we don't have to be worried about those of us in the tent. We don't have to be worried about those we know, because we can watch them. We can understand their moves. His point for his organization is we have to be worried about those outside of the tent that we don't know. Somebody is looking at reimagining building materials distribution. And I don't know who, but somebody is reimagining it right now. Somebody is reimagining electrical distribution, plumbing distribution as a whole. Those are the individuals that we have to continue to put sensors out to be aware of, and to be constructively paranoid.
Why is Bezos going up into space and spending all that money on new satellites and stuff? What's all that about? You think that's going to disrupt something down the road?
Should I go there?
No. Just trying to throw it out.
No. What came to my mind is Bill Clinton's answer why he did the things he did. He said, because I can. Right? So why is Bezos going up to space?
Trying to figure out that.
Yeah, I don't know. Why is Bezos going up to space? Because he can, number one. Number two, he is super interested in long-term thinking, right? He's built a clock that is down in, I think, New Mexico, that's going to click for over 1,000 years. I mean, why would you do that? Because he's long-term thinking. So I think that then Doug, something that you got me thinking about is, what is Jeff Bezos thinking about that he's going to learn by going to Mars that he's going to be able to apply here on planet Earth in his businesses? I hadn't thought about that until 45 minutes ago when you brought that up.
August we'll have an answer.
Yeah.
We'll be driving, that'll be good. Yep.
Yeah.
So I started in this business working at Montgomery Ward's in their paint and hardware department back in 1978.
I don't think I knew that.
And I started at...
Were they owned by Mobil Oil at that time?
I think so,
Yeah. Okay.
And I started working at Elgin Lumber and Supply in 1981.
Yep.
Kurt's dad owned a lumber yard. He was sweeping floors when he was 4 years old.
Nice.
There are so many things that we do exactly the same back in 1979 and 1980. I have a plaque in my office of a list of how we deliver stuff from 1918. They used to put on the back of their invoices and how to water horses, but pickups, and we're archaic. Why is this business so ripe for disruption? we got to do something different. Or maybe it's been this way for 100 years. Why change it?
Yeah, couple things, right? Well, let me answer it this way. You know what frightens me to death right now that we're coming out of the pandemic? You look a lot of the businesses, not the human beings in the businesses. You look at the businesses. Many of the distribution businesses that I've been exposed to did all right during the pandemic. Their financials, you know, they were all right. You know, you look back to last March and April, you know, we didn't know what was going to happen. But in hindsight, financials for a lot of businesses are okay. What scares me to death is leadership is going to look at that and say, you know what? We've come out of the pandemic, the greatest disruptive force of our entire career. We did okay. We did okay. Why change? Why innovate? We can get through that. To me, Doug, that frightens me. I think it's something we need to talk about as a potential pull back to the status quo. So I think part of that answer is why we get comfortable with success. We get comfortable with the way things are. We get comfortable with the fact that customers are buying, customers are happy, and why change? It's one. It's probably more of a...
So, that was my last question.
Okay.
But just to wrap up from my side, I have, at least, we had to put our name on a picture, and you sent it to me in a poster thing.
Yeah.
I've had a couple really cool ones. I have one in my office. It just says "Adjust Your Lens," and my face is on the background. And I think when I look at things, try to see things, you got to adjust your lens to see things differently than you've seen in the past. And someone else gave the analogy is the windshield's really big, your rearview mirror is really small. There's a reason for that. You want to keep in mind what happened in the past, but that windshield's really big. Make sure you're looking out that way instead of trying to figure out what worked before, because it might not work again. But look at things differently, and there's always, just because you've done it that way, and I think the people that work closely with me, you know, sometimes I just break stuff just to see it break and see what happens and change things. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it pisses people off, and a lot of times it's okay. And I think we need to continue to do that. Not all the time, because then you'll be too much, but occasionally you just break stuff to see what happens and go for it. And I think Joe's not here, but we have Rudy and Jeff. Did we break some stuff up at Hampshire?
We did.
Big time. We took out every piece of product that was in the warehouse and say, let's go build panels here. Pissed off a few customers, but big picture, one of the smartest things we've done recently is to blow that place up and look at things differently,
Nice,
and utilize
guys.
that
Nice.
space differently, and applaud all you guys for supporting that. I could give you a lot. All those things come from having you give me the support and the motivation to go out and do that.
Well, I appreciate that. It's been a lot of fun. And Doug, thank you for this.
Yep.
Right? Thank you for this. Y'all, thank you so much for coming out.
T-shirts?
Yeah. So we'd love for y'all to take. We've got a T-shirt for those of you that want it. We Supply America. Again, let's have some conversation. You guys brought some sandwiches, so thank you for that.
Dirk, you're being here for a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to stick around. And guys, I will ask if this resonates with you. If you're on LinkedIn, if you're on Facebook, if you're on Instagram, follow me, Dirk Beveridge. Follow We Supply America, Unleash WD. Help us spread the word of this noble calling of distribution, because what you guys do every single day is absolutely critical. Again, not just to the business, but to local communities, your families, to each other, and to our country. I appreciate what you guys do, and let's go tell that story and enjoy the afternoon and take one of our shirts. Okay?
I think the next time, Dirk, we'll do this on a Friday afternoon later in the day.
Yeah.
And maybe have our friends across the street and maybe some ice cold beer or something like that.
Are there going to be any IPAs?
And there'll be IPAs.
Then I'm in.
Okay. Good idea.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dirk.
Thanks, you guys.